Granted, there wasn't much to do in O'Fallon back in the day when only 700 people lived here. Still, people managed to make their own fun.
We liked to ice skate on the mill pond. That was if you're going anyway to see anybody, that's where you would go, to the mill pond. And of course, we'd play crack the whip.
Oh.
And Charlie, I was on the end. I don't know why he was second. He should have been on the end. And I was on the end, and we fell, and he jammed his skate into my thumb. Well, we went over to Lee Ethers, and Connie Pieper and Marcy Griesnar went with us. And then they took me up to Dr. Honig. They didn't call Mom. It's when Dad was working in Alaska. And Dr. Honig sewed it up. Mom didn't know it till the next morning. Neither did Fairlings.
Oh yeah, I did a lot of skating on that. A lot of skating. Joni Haas was a good skater. I used to really like to skate with her. She was really a good little skater. And yeah, we'd build a big bonfire out there, and everybody around came and skated out there, you know. And then we'd go in the old firehouse and warm up, you know. If we didn't have the fire going, we'd go in there and warm up and put our skates on and everything and go out there. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
They didn't have video games or organized sports back then, but then a rambunctious youngster could find all kinds of ways to pass the day.
We did a lot of things that were fun. There weren't TVs, there weren't games, there weren't all of those electronic games, all those kind of things. You just, we got together, it was a small town, you got together and played ball, you maybe shot BBs, guns, you maybe went fishing, and you did all that by riding your bicycle and carrying a pole or a rifle or whatever you were going to use with you. And the swimming hole was Peru Creek out under the Peru Creek Railroad Bridge, and that was Highway 40. It wasn't a service road, and nobody thought anything of us kids crawling on our bikes with a fishing pole across the handlebars and riding out the highway and going out there and going fishing, and got tired of fishing, we'd go swimming.
In 1956, O'Fallon celebrated its centennial with a parade, a picnic, and a pageant.
Well, the Centennial was a big, big deal for O'Fallon, and everyone in town was involved. I mean, everyone in town was involved in one way or another. And it seemed like to us kids, I think, that the thing was never going to get here because our parents were so busy and so involved and talking so much about all of that. Mrs. Terry, who was the barber's wife in town, was very artistic, and she wrote, I think, probably 95% of the pageant herself. And where the fire station now sits on Elm Street, there was a ball field, and a stage was built there. And in order to change scenery for the stage, they built the scenes on farm wagons so that a tractor would pull the new scene up behind the stage as you needed to do it. A fellow that was a music teacher in this part of the country moved to the south, far enough south that they spoke with a beautiful southern accent. And he brought his high school band, who he was the teacher, up here for the parade. And all the girls had that southern drawl, and all of the boys about my age, high school age in town, were in love 3 or 4 times that weekend.
In 1963, the O'Fallon Volunteer Fire Department hosted the statewide Firemen's Convention, bringing hundreds of people to town from across the state.
In those early days, in the 60s and 70s, the fire department was always of interest to everyone. They had a very good volunteer group. In fact, it was all volunteer group. And they were always planning a party or having a party somewhere. And then the State Fire Association once came to O'Fallon for their convention. And that created quite a an event, they took over Main Street and the taverns and what restaurants were here, what other buildings would hold their meetings and their social part of the convention.
There was a big parade. I think it lasted a couple of days. It was a parade, and I remember the ladies gave a style show down at the Civic Park for them. And it wasn't a style show given by any of the merchants. It was like, she's wearing a box coat, and out she would come in a cardboard box, you know, and it was one of those type things.